Welcome to Los Angeles, a city that shimmers under the glint of sunlit skyscrapers and a polished, star-studded allure that seems to promise a life of ease and glamour. Known as the epicenter of dreams, where fame, fortune, and beauty are tantalizingly close, LA attracts millions with its seductive promise of success. Yet beneath the palm trees and glittering red carpets, the true soul of the city is often masked by shadows. The sprawling metropolis, home to nearly 4 million people, sits at the crossroads of beauty and brutality. A place where dreams can come to life but are just as easily devoured by the very forces that fuel them. In a city that holds itself up as the epitome of opportunity and allure, a hidden undercurrent flows, dark, insidious, and invisible. It preys on the hopeful, especially young, ambitious women who come to LA entranced by the allure of success in a city where image is everything. For many, the thrill of Hollywood's lights blinds them to the risks lurking in its dim corners. The tragic story of Christy Giles and Marcela Cabrales exposes the nightmare that can hide beneath LA's glimmering facade. Their journey began like many others. Two friends, vibrant and full of potential, drawn to the promise of a city where dreams seemed possible. But in Los Angeles, where appearances deceive, one night can turn swiftly from euphoric to fatal. November 13th, 2021, was meant to be a carefree night for Christy and Hilda, filled with laughter, dancing, and shared excitement. They were swept up in LA's exclusive nightlife, a world of clandestine invites, luxury cars, and private rooms, where fame is a currency and promises are often hollow. Los Angeles offers everything, yet beneath its glitz, it harbors dark secrets that can ensnare the unwary, particularly those seeking validation in an industry that thrives on image over substance. In a city that takes as much as it gives, their evenings spiraled from thrill to terror, and by morning, the horrifying truth would emerge. What happened next remains shrouded in a chilling mystery. Hours later, on the morning of November 14, a dark car with tinted windows slipped into an alley near Southern California Hospital in Culver City. It slowed down, and within seconds, Christy's body was unceremoniously dumped onto the sidewalk, like a lifeless object, abandoned without a word. She was barefoot, her belongings missing, her body cold and still. Security cameras captured only brief glimpses. A faceless figure, hurried movements, the blare of headlights before the car sped away into the night, leaving Christy alone under the glaring hospital lights. Inside, doctors would confirm the worst. She was gone, and the mystery of her death only deepened. Less than 2 hours later, Hilda's body was abandoned outside another hospital, Kaiser Permanente in West Los Angeles. Another dark car pulled up to the curb, another quick, careless disposal. She, too, was left alone, dropped like debris by a stranger who vanished back into the city without a trace. But unlike Christy, Hilda was still clinging to life. Barely. The horrors of that night have been pieced together only in fragments, leaving behind a story that is as terrifying as it is incomplete. On the same day and less than 24 hours apart, the bodies of two women, Christy Giles and Marcela Cabrales were discovered. The terrible events that took place on November 13th, 2021, destroyed not only their families, but also the dreams of these bright women in an instant. Christy Giles, at just 24 years old, was a vibrant and ambitious young woman whose journey was marked by determination, creativity, and a love for adventure. Born and raised in a close-knit community in Mount Olive, Alabama, Christy's life was defined by the warmth and energy that she brought to those around her. From a young age, Christy displayed a deep-seated zest for life that set her apart from her peers. Her mother reminisced about Christy's childhood with pride, recalling a little girl who was not afraid to run barefoot through the grass, who could often be found laughing with friends or playing pranks on her siblings. Christy was fiercely independent, the kind of child who dreamed big and refused to settle for less. Fishing trips with her father were not just pastimes but cherished traditions where they would bond over shared jokes and stories. Christy also showed an unexpected affinity for marksmanship, practicing her aim at the shooting range under her father's watchful eye. This combination of grace and grit defined her, hinting at the confident, adventurous woman she would become. In school, Christy's talents were multifaceted. She was not only a standout in athletics, but a natural leader. Her involvement in sports showcased her competitive spirit and unwavering dedication. She excelled at track and field, where her speed and agility drew attention, and she was a force on the soccer field, often driving her team to victory with her determination and strategic mindset. Yet Christy wasn't just about sports. She was equally committed to her academics, balancing her studies with her active lifestyle. Teachers described her as an engaged and thoughtful student with a curious mind and a flair for creative thinking. She possessed a deep love for the arts. Her early fascination with fashion and modeling began when she would flip through glossy magazines, admiring the elegance and storytelling behind each photo spread. By her teenage years, she was experimenting with photography and fashion design, piecing together makeshift photo shoots with friends and showcasing her eye for aesthetics. Christy's natural beauty, combined with her innate ability to express emotion through movement and expression, suggested she was destined for more than her small town could offer. This combination of athleticism, intelligence, and creativity made Christy a beloved figure among her peers and a source of pride for her family. After graduating high school, Christy knew that she needed to pursue a life beyond Alabama. The allure of new challenges and experiences led her to make the leap to Los Angeles, a city brimming with opportunities and the promise of a platform where she could showcase her talents. With a mixture of nerves and excitement, Christy arrived in LA, ready to immerse herself in the world of fashion and entertainment. Her career began to take shape as she navigated the competitive modeling industry, working tirelessly to build her portfolio and make connections. Her first jobs included print modeling for local brands, where her southern charm and striking features caught the eye of photographers and designers alike. Her adaptability allowed her to transition from laid-back beachwear shoots to high-fashion editorials seamlessly. Christy's commitment to her craft did not go unnoticed, and soon she was booking more significant projects that brought her closer to her goals. Outside of work, Christy's personality continued to shine. She made friends easily, her laughter filling rooms, and her natural warmth drawing people to her. Her friends described her as someone who could find the silver lining in any situation, a supportive confidant who would stand by you no matter what. Despite her rising success in the industry, Christy remained grounded, never forgetting her roots or the values instilled in her by her parents. Her connection to family was deep. She would call home frequently, sharing her latest accomplishments and adventures while soaking up the support and encouragement that fueled her ambition. Christy was also fiercely passionate about advocacy and using her platform for good. She was known to participate in community events and took an active interest in causes that supported women's empowerment and mental health awareness. Her Instagram feed was a mixture of professional photos, candid moments of her travels, and messages aimed at inspiring her followers to live boldly and authentically. The openness she displayed on social media resonated with many, making her not just a model but an influencer who people looked up to. While Christy's path was filled with challenges, she met each one head-on, embodying resilience. The modeling world could be harsh, with its rejections and high standards, but she remained undeterred, using setbacks as learning experiences that pushed her to grow. Her unwavering resolve and magnetic personality allowed her to flourish in an industry known for its cutthroat nature. Christy was more than just a face in a photograph. She was a soul full of life, ambition, and kindness. A reminder that behind the glamour of Hollywood dreams lay the hard work and heart of a Southern girl who was never afraid to chase what she wanted. In LA, Christy's pursuit of her modeling career and her zest for life converged, creating a narrative that was uniquely her own. But unfortunately, what life and the treacherous city had in store for her were trials she could not overcome. Hilda Marcela Cabrales Arzola, known simply as Marcela to her friends and family, was a remarkable woman whose life was driven by her passion for creativity, design, and the relentless pursuit of excellence. Born on November 29, 1994, in Mexico, Marcela grew up in a nurturing and supportive family environment. Her father, Luis Cabrales, provided her with unwavering encouragement, instilling in her a strong sense of determination, while her mother, Dr. Hilda Marcela Arzola Placentia, embodied the ideals of dedication and resilience that Marcela would carry with her throughout her life. From an early age, Marcela displayed a natural affinity for artistic expression and creative problem-solving. Whether it was sketching detailed illustrations in her notebooks or building intricate models out of simple materials, her interest in design was apparent. Her parents were quick to notice this spark and supported her in pursuing activities that would help her cultivate her skills. Marcela's childhood was filled with exploration, as she engaged in activities that fueled her curiosity and developed her capacity for both analytical and imaginative thinking. As she grew older, Marcela's passion for architecture crystallized into a career goal. Her fascination with the way buildings could shape human experiences and enhance communities became the driving force behind her aspirations. Marcela's journey into architecture was marked by a keen intellectual curiosity and a desire to leave a meaningful mark on the world. She enrolled at the Universidad de Monterrey, one of Mexico's most esteemed institutions, where she embarked on a rigorous academic journey that would refine her talents and prepare her for the challenges ahead. During her time at the university, Marcela quickly gained a reputation as an exceptional student. Her professors praised her for her innovative designs and her ability to think beyond conventional boundaries. She was known for her meticulous attention to detail and her ability to approach problems with creative solutions that balanced aesthetics with practicality. Marcela was not content with simply meeting expectations. She consistently strove to exceed them, demonstrating a level of dedication that set her apart from her peers. Her participation in collaborative projects and design competitions only deepened her understanding of the multifaceted nature of architecture, solidifying her ambition to contribute to the field in impactful ways. Marcela's academic success was matched by her vibrant personality. She was known among friends and classmates for her warmth, kindness, and an infectious enthusiasm that could light up any room. Whether she was leading a study group, discussing design trends, or simply sharing stories over coffee, Marcela's genuine nature made her a beloved figure in her social circles. Her ability to connect with people came naturally, bridging the gap between her serious professional aspirations and her easygoing, approachable demeanor. Upon graduating from the Universidad de Monterrey, Marcela was ready to take the next step in her journey. She knew that to truly fulfill her potential, she needed to expand her horizons beyond Mexico and immerse herself in a global environment where creativity and innovation were celebrated. In 2021, Marcela made the bold decision to move to Los Angeles, a city renowned for its rich blend of modern and historic architecture, diverse culture, and thriving art scene. The move was a testament to her courage and ambition. She was determined to make her mark in a city that epitomized opportunity and progress. In LA, Marcela's career took off. She quickly found herself involved in projects that challenged her skills and pushed her to grow. She worked on various architectural endeavors that ranged from sustainable housing designs to innovative commercial spaces, each one adding to her portfolio and establishing her reputation as a rising talent. Her ability to blend structural integrity with creative flair earned her the respect of colleagues and mentors alike. It was clear that Marcela had not only brought her talent to Los Angeles, but also her unique vision and unwavering commitment to excellence. Networking came naturally to Marcela, who saw every interaction as an opportunity to learn and collaborate. She became a familiar face at industry events, art openings, and social gatherings that brought together the city's creative community. Her enthusiasm for sharing ideas and discussing architectural concepts resonated with many, leading to valuable connections and friendships. It was during one of these networking occasions that she met Christy Giles, a model with a similarly adventurous spirit. The two women bonded over their shared experiences of striving for success in a bustling city that offered both endless possibilities and formidable challenges. Beyond her professional endeavors, Marcela cherished the moments spent exploring Los Angeles. She was captivated by the city's iconic landmarks and the eclectic mix of cultures that defined its neighborhoods. She often spoke of how the city's dynamism fueled her creativity, spurring her to envision projects that were as bold and forward-thinking as the city itself. Her journey was marked by a blend of ambition, empathy, and a deep-rooted belief in the power of design to transform spaces and lives. These two beautiful and ambitious women, Christy Giles and Hilda Marcela Cabrales Arzola, were more than just casual acquaintances. They quickly became close, their friendship marked by shared experiences and mutual admiration. Their connection deepened over time, with simple coffee breaks evolving into long evenings out exploring the dynamic and vibrant nightlife of Los Angeles. Both women, driven by their careers and personal ambitions, found comfort in each other's company amidst the whirlwind pace of the city. The bond they formed was one of kindred spirits, with both seeking inspiration and companionship in an environment where authenticity could sometimes be difficult to find. That brings us to November 12th, 2021. Like countless nights before, the two friends planned an evening that combined art, energy, and the carefree fun they both cherished. They gathered with a few friends to attend an art exhibition that buzzed with creativity and excitement. After the exhibition, the pull of LA's electrifying nightlife was too strong to resist, so they decided to extend their night by heading to a warehouse party in East LA. This wasn't just any gathering. It was an event filled with pulsating music, eclectic lights, and an electric atmosphere that captured the essence of the city's underground scene. Christy and Marcela were seen dancing in the VIP section, laughter and joy apparent in their movements. It was the kind of night that reminded them why they had chosen to live in a city where dreams and reality often blurred. As the night wore on, one of their friends decided to head home early, leaving Christy and Marcela to enjoy the remainder of the evening together. Amidst the sea of people, the two women encountered three men who introduced themselves as David Pierce, a self-proclaimed movie producer with a reputation that only some knew in whispers, along with Michael Ansbach, a cinematographer, and Brant Osborne, an actor. The men's talk of an exclusive after-party in the Hollywood Hills piqued their interest. After a night of dancing and celebration, the allure of continuing the evening in a more private setting felt adventurous. The invitation was extended, and Christy and Marcela accepted, joining the men as they left the warehouse party behind for what they assumed would be an upscale gathering in the hills. The reality at David Pierce's apartment, however, was far different from what had been promised. The so-called after-party was non-existent. There were no crowds, no music, no glamorous attendees, just an unsettling quietness that settled over the room. The atmosphere, once vibrant and full of life, quickly shifted to something more tense and uncertain. It was just Christy, Marcela, and the three men in an environment that had suddenly taken on a more sinister tone. As the minutes passed, discomfort set in. Christy, always perceptive, sent Marcela a brief but telling message at 5:30 a.m. "Let's get out of here," punctuated with a wide-eyed emoji, a small virtual expression that spoke volumes. Marcela responded just as succinctly, typing back, "Yes, I'll call an Uber 10 minutes away." These exchanges painted a clear picture. Both women felt the need to leave, urgently and without drawing attention. Despite the quick arrangements, the planned departure did not unfold as expected. An Uber driver arrived outside the property, patiently waiting for the two passengers who would never appear. He tried to reach out, making attempts to contact them through calls and messages, but the silence that followed was unsettling. After 10 minutes with no sign of either woman, the driver left, unaware that his simple wait marked the beginning of a mystery that would soon grip those who knew and loved them. Miles away, Christy's husband, John Cilliers, woke up in San Francisco with the quiet calm of an early morning. As he checked his phone, he noticed several missed messages from Christy, messages that had arrived while he slept. At first, he assumed she had enjoyed her night out, perhaps sharing snippets of fun and laughter. Their relationship, built on trust and understanding, included a safety routine they never ignored: sharing their locations. It was a precaution they had taken for years, a nod to the fast-paced and sometimes unpredictable nature of their lives in Los Angeles. With Christy's silence stretching on, Jan's unease grew. He reached for his phone and checked her shared location. expecting to see her somewhere familiar, perhaps close to home or at a friend's. Instead, her phone pinged with an address on West Olympic Boulevard, a place that was unfamiliar and unsettling. This discovery sent a jolt through him. Something was wrong. Calls to her went unanswered, the sound of a dial tone giving way to a void that only amplified his worry. Panicked, Jan began to piece together whatever information he could find. He combed through Christy's social media, hoping to track her night and find clues that might make sense of her sudden silence. A video surfaced from earlier that night showing her and Marcela dancing under the strobing lights of the warehouse party, smiles bright and carefree. Yet from that moment on, her digital footprint vanished. It was as if the city itself had swallowed her whole, leaving only questions and the echo of a night that started with art, laughter, and the promise of adventure but dissolved into mystery. As the hours turned into a blur of rising fear and frantic calls, the dawning realization struck. Something more than a delayed response was at play. Marcela's family and friends, too, would soon find themselves caught in a storm of disbelief and dread. The city that had drawn them in with its glitz and boundless energy was now a place marked by silence and unanswered questions. Christy and Marcela, who had been happily dancing together just a few hours earlier, had now vanished without a trace and were neither making nor responding to calls. As the hours crept into the afternoon without a word from Christy, Jan's unease evolved into outright fear. Every unanswered text and failed call amplified the pit that had formed in his stomach. Unable to bear the silence any longer, he took decisive action and contacted the authorities, reporting her last known location in a desperate bid for information. His worry became a full-scale mission to find answers, and he reached out to everyone who might know something: her friends, mutual acquaintances, anyone who could shed light on where she might be. The suspense was suffocating, and Jan's desperation led him to share her location on social media, hoping that someone, anyone, might come forward with a clue. Tips flooded in, but none of them brought the clarity he so desperately sought. Each moment felt like an eternity. And then, in a cruel twist of fate, the answers came not from hopeful informants but from a call by the police. The officers informed him that Christy had been found at a hospital. The pit in Jan's stomach sank deeper when they added, with solemn expressions, that she had not survived. The cold, stark reality washed over him. His bright, loving wife was gone, lost in a way that made no sense. The grief crashed over him like a tidal wave, heavy and unrelenting. Without pausing to process the news, Jan booked the next flight back to Los Angeles, carrying with him a heart weighted with sorrow and questions that demanded answers. What happened to her? One conversation with Christy's mother replayed in his mind as he traveled. She had recounted how Christy once spoke of the dangers that others faced, stories of friends who had overdosed after encountering drugs laced with deadly substances. "It's crazy, Mom," she'd said. "They lace this stuff with fentanyl, and people do it once as a party thing, and they're dead." The eerie resonance of those words haunted Jan. The possibility that Christy and her friend Hilda Marcela Cabrales Arzola might have unknowingly fallen victim to such a fate gnawed at him. Meanwhile, back in Monterrey, Mexico, news of Marcela's hospitalization hit her family with a devastating force. What began as an ordinary day turned into a living nightmare with a single phone call. Her father, Luis, was told that his vibrant, ambitious daughter was critically ill and had been placed on a ventilator. The urgency in the caller's voice left little room for doubt. This was dire. Frantic with worry, Luis and the rest of Marcela's family immediately prepared to fly to Los Angeles, their minds racing with questions and hearts pounding with fear. Upon their arrival at the hospital, the scene that awaited them was one they could never have imagined. Marcela lay unconscious, her once animated and expressive face now pale and motionless. Monitors beeped, and tubes connected her to machines that were fighting to keep her alive. The doctors explained the severity of her condition, describing how her system had been overwhelmed by a combination of powerful drugs. The cocktail included substances like cocaine and MDMA, among others so obscure that the toxicology reports couldn't even fully identify them. The medical team had done everything possible, but the prognosis was stark. Marcela had suffered significant brain damage and showed no signs of neural activity. The family clung to hope in the face of bleak odds, whispering prayers at her bedside and willing her to come back to them. They talked to her, recounting childhood stories, reminding her of all the dreams she still had left to chase. But days stretched into weeks, and her body, though kept functioning by machines, began to falter. The doctor's words grew more definitive, and the unthinkable became a reality they had to confront. The decision to disconnect Marcela from life support was the most heartbreaking one they had ever faced. But they made it with immense love and sorrow, understanding that the time had come to let her go. On November 28, 2021, just one day before her 27th birthday, Marcela's family gathered around her for a final farewell. Tears streamed down their faces as they whispered their goodbyes, cherishing her memory and the vibrant life she had lived. In the depths of their grief, they found a sliver of solace in her final act of generosity. Marcela's organs were donated, saving 9 lives and allowing her spirit to live on in the most profound way. This tragic chain of events illuminated the dangers that lurk beneath the surface of Los Angeles' glamorous facade. What began as a night of celebration and fun turned into an unfathomable tragedy, raising questions about accountability, the perils of a nightlife culture fraught with risk, and the systemic failings that left 2 young women vulnerable. Jan, Christy's family, Marcela's family, and their friends are left not only with grief, but also with a burning need for justice and answers. This harsh reality serves as a reminder of how quickly life can shift from light to shadow in the city of dreams. The investigation began immediately after both women were found at separate hospitals on November 13, 2021, marking the start of a complex case filled with questions, suspicions, and relentless pursuit of truth. At first, some tried to write the incident off as a sad, albeit accidental, overdose. But that narrative began to unravel when investigators learned that the women had been left at the hospitals by masked men driving a car stripped of license plates. A short time later, the harsh reality was compounded by the revelation that both deaths were ruled murders. The deeper authorities dug, the more disturbing details they uncovered, pointing to individuals with connections to the Hollywood elite. Allegedly, the 2 young women had been drugged and abandoned by men whose actions showed a staggering lack of humanity or concern for their lives. It was no coincidence that the women were left at different hospitals at staggered times. This strategic decision was likely made to minimize attention and complicate any potential investigation. The chilling detail that Christy had texted Marcela just an hour after arriving at the apartment with the ominous words, "Let's get out of here," speaks volumes about their sudden unease. Marcela's swift response, confirming she had called for an Uber that was only 10 minutes away, underlined their mutual desire to leave as quickly as possible. But those messages, clear indicators of their intent to escape, were the last they would send. The address was confirmed as the apartment belonging to David Pierce. So, who exactly was David Pierce? Outwardly, he was associated with Hollywood's glitzy facade. Born in the 1980s, there was little public information about his formative years, but by the time he reached adulthood, he was well embedded in the LA scene. He painted himself as a Hollywood producer, skillfully navigating the world of exclusive parties and industry events, mingling with influencers, actors, and models. He was known for projecting an image of wealth and power, which gave him access to some of the most elite circles in the city. But behind this curated persona was a man with a reputation stained by dark allegations. For over a decade, whispers and accusations had followed David, with charges of sexual assault dating as far back as 2010. It was alleged that his modus operandi involved using parties to lure unsuspecting women, whom he would drug and victimize. This pattern of behavior painted a chilling backdrop to what would happen to Christy and Marcela. Joining David in his activities were 2 men, Michael Ansbach, a cinematographer, and Brand Osborne, an actor. The trio's names would soon become synonymous with the sinister underbelly of LA nightlife, a world that, for all its allure, hid pockets of genuine danger. As investigators dug deeper, surveillance footage emerged that proved pivotal. The video showed Christy and Marcela leaving the East LA warehouse party together with David, Michael, and Brand. This footage not only confirmed their last moments at the party, but also highlighted their transition to what would become their final journey. Digital evidence, including phone messages exchanged between Christy and Marcela, played a significant role in constructing the case. Their texts hinted at their increasing discomfort and desire to leave the apartment soon after arriving. Surveillance footage at the apartment complex, though not made available to the public, reportedly captured David, Michael, and Brand moving in and out of the building with Christy and Marcela, who had already been drugged and incapacitated. Further footage caught the trio transporting the women to different hospitals, ensuring they were left in separate places, a decision investigators believe was a deliberate attempt to evade suspicion and sever any traceable link between them and the victims. Autopsies would later reveal horrifying details. Christie's report confirmed the presence of a lethal mixture of drugs, including fentanyl, cocaine, ketamine, and GHB, which is commonly associated with drug-facilitated crimes. Similarly, Marcela's toxicology report showed a troubling combination of cocaine, MDMA, and other substances that were so obscure that not all could be identified. The findings ruled out any possibility that the women had willingly consumed these substances. Both deaths were officially declared homicides, corroborating what investigators had suspected from the beginning. Neither Christy nor Marcela had knowingly taken the drugs that would claim their lives. December 2021 marked a critical turning point in the case when David Pierce, along with Michael Ansbach and Brand Osborne, were arrested. However, the charges varied among them. David faced manslaughter charges, given his direct involvement and history of predatory behavior, while Michael and Brand were charged as accessories to manslaughter. During the ongoing investigation, detectives quickly realized that David Pierce's troubling history was far from an isolated incident. This became increasingly apparent as numerous victims from Pierce's past came forward, each recounting harrowing experiences that painted a clear picture of his long-standing pattern of predatory behavior. These accounts provided investigators with crucial context, solidifying the belief that Christy and Marcela's tragic fate was not an anomaly, but part of a much more sinister trend. While the arrest of David and his associates marked a significant milestone, it was the revelations that followed which deepened the shock. Detectives now theorize that on the night in question, Pierce had drugged both women to facilitate sexual advances. However, when they became dangerously unresponsive, he and his accomplices panicked. Instead of seeking medical help to potentially save the lives of Christy and Marcela, they chose to conceal evidence of their involvement, ultimately making the callous decision to abandon the women at separate hospitals. Before doing so, they even took the calculated step of removing the car's license plates to obscure their identity. As the investigation pressed on, David Pierce was slapped with multiple charges, including manslaughter and a series of unrelated sexual assault charges that reached back over a decade. His co-defendants, Michael Ansbach and Brand Osborne, faced their own sets of charges for being accessories to manslaughter, accused of aiding Pierce in the cover-up. During interrogation, the defendants' stories proved to be inconsistent. In particular, Brand Osborne claimed that Christy and Marcela had voluntarily taken the drugs. This assertion, however, was contradicted by the physical evidence and the detectives' conclusions. The case has been a drawn-out affair, with Pierce using every legal trick at his disposal to delay proceedings. From replacing his defense team to citing insufficient legal representation, his tactics have pushed back the timeline and added further strain to an already agonizing process for the victims' families. Christy's husband and Marcela's father, already grappling with immense grief, found themselves trapped in a perpetual cycle of trauma. Each statement, each plea for public support, and every new legal proceeding forced them to relive the devastating circumstances surrounding their loved ones' deaths. This ongoing ordeal has only fueled their relentless drive for justice, ensuring that Pierce and his accomplices face full accountability for their actions. The gravity of Pierce's history adds another chilling layer to the case. Since his arrest, he has faced multiple charges of rape, some dating as far back as 2010. These include forcible rape, rape of an unconscious or sleeping individual, and even sexual penetration with a foreign object. His bail has been set at $3 million, a clear indication of the severity of the accusations against him. As the legal battle marches slowly toward trial, questions linger about why it took so long for Pierce's prior charges to come to light. Perhaps the nature of building a case involving sexual violence, especially one spanning over a decade, requires meticulous evidence gathering. This includes corroborating victim statements, forensic analysis, expert testimonies, and sometimes even revisiting cold evidence with fresh eyes. Given Pierce's extensive record, each case presented unique challenges, prolonging the investigative phase. This careful assembly of evidence is essential for ensuring a robust case that can withstand legal scrutiny, especially when it involves charges as serious as rape and murder. In total, Pierce now faces 11 distinct charges. The district attorney's office has opted to consolidate these, including his sexual assault and homicide charges, into one comprehensive trial. The indictment also includes a charge of furnishing a controlled substance, fentanyl. For the victims' families, every delay in the trial represents another stretch of emotional torture. It underscores the harsh reality that even when charges are filed, the path to justice is neither straightforward nor swift. The process of setting a trial date can be complicated, often subject to postponements as defendants like Pierce exploit every possible avenue to stall proceedings. Despite these obstacles, the prosecutors remain determined, navigating a labyrinth of evidence and legal tactics to bring Pierce to trial. The stakes are exceptionally high. Should Pierce be convicted on all counts, he faces a potential sentence of 128 years to life in prison. Such an outcome would be a measure of justice for Christy Giles, Hilda Marcela Cabrales Arzola, and perhaps other women who may have suffered. Yet beyond the legal ramifications, this case serves as an exposé of the darker elements lurking in the entertainment industry, where power and influence can shield predators from exposure for years. In addition to the legal battles, the families pushed for reforms and spread awareness about the presence of dangerous drugs in party settings and the calculated predation that still pervades some corners of the nightlife industry.